Alright guys, this is part 2 of how to install your inverter in your truck. What you will be needing also is some de-electrical grease, some Automarine sealant RTV, some thread locker, and you're going to need 24/6, it's called 24/6 heat shrink by Racham. 24/6, okay? That's the size. And you're gonna need some heating application. For this, I'm using a mini torch that you could buy at any hardware store, and you're gonna be using that to heat the heat shrink up so that it conforms to the size of the wire. And I already done this wire, so you guys can see this is the finished product, and this is how it looks. All right, so I saved this black one for us, and what we're gonna do is, once you have your wire cut, we're gonna apply our de-electrical grease onto here. Alrighty, and then we're just gonna rub that around with our fingers and make sure it gets on all the strands. All right, and just make sure you work this grease from top to bottom. You could just spread out the strands just a little bit, so you make sure you get a nice coating around, and then don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. All right. You're gonna need lots of napkins around, lots of tissue paper or napkins around here to clean yourself after each application that we're doing. All right, so now that this part is done, also don't forget to apply some de-electrical grease inside of this terminal, just for some added protection. It doesn't have to be that much. It just could be just a small pea-size amount, right? Because that wire is going to push it up. What this is going to do is going to prevent any water or any corrosion happening on this bare copper wire. This is just pretty much protecting the bare copper if any water was to get within this connection. And this is mainly important for the battery side connection. You don't really have to do it inside of here, but you should you need to absolutely do it in your battery box, because these wires, water and salt will eventually seep into this connection and create more resistance on your wire, and then you spent money on these wires for no reason, because they're just going to rust away. So if you don't do this, your wires are going to rust, period. So make sure you get some de-electrical grease and apply it to this, and then we move on to the next part, which is the thread locker. All right, we're installing using the thread locker right now to put on the set screw. And what this is going to do is going to prevent the set screw from backing its way out. We'll just take it out of here, and we'll use our Allen key to just hold it. And alrighty. Now we got a set screw coated with some thread lock. We're just gonna barely install it on there so it catches, and we're gonna work our wire with our plug. Alrighty. Now we're just gonna screw on our set ring. And we're gonna wipe off the excess residue from the thread lock. Now, for the next part, we're gonna use the Automarine Sealant RTV silicone. And what we really want to do is use the sealant to, caulk around this part of pretty much this seam where we have the connection of our connector going onto our wire, and just want to caulk in between here and around the set screw. So this is preventing any water just getting inside of this connection, and just generally coat around this area. All right, and you don't got to be greedy with this. I'm gonna zoom in for us. All right, guys. Now that we're zoomed in, we're gonna apply our sealant. And be sure to get all around. And you could apply a good, just apply a good amount. All right. You can see this is nicely coated. I'm just gonna rub my fingers around it to make it a little bit more smoother. All right, if you got too much, that's fine. It's gonna ooze out. If it's gonna ooze out, and it's gonna make a better connection. Just take off a little bit excess and just wipe your finger with it. All right. The next part of this video, the next part of this installation is the heat shrink. Now I already cut this piece. It was a longer piece, and I installed it on this part, on this other wire. So one of those packages are gonna be able to do completely one side, so you just need two of them to finish the installation for both sides of the truck, for the battery side and the inverter side. And now what we want to do is slide this end cap. I completely forgot about this. Slide that end cap and get it out of the way. All right, the end cap is right here. Just slide it and put it into the wire. Those end caps come with your inverter. And also now we're gonna slide our heat shrink in, and we want our heat shrink to cover right up to that rib. I think it's a good spot. All right, and now we use the torch, and you're gonna see that this heat shrink is gonna get smaller. All right, and now we begin. Now we want to start off in the middle, and once we start seeing the heat shrink, start to shrink, you want to just start, you know, rotating around the heat shrink. So you make sure you apply a nice even coating, nice even amount of heat. You know, if you put too much heat on one spot, you're obviously gonna burn. And then once you work the middle, you're gonna want to start working your way on the outsides. Alright guys, now that has cooled down, we're gonna install our terminals. Like I said, don't forget to slide these end caps that came with your inverter in before you install. Alright. And that is how these connections are completely clean and rust proof. You must do this. It does take a little bit of time to do, you know, to install all this stuff on, but this is going to make your connections completely rust free, and your installation is going to last for a long time. These wires will never have to be replaced. All right. And it's going to prevent any of that salt, that, you know, that road grime and all that stuff from, you know, touching your wires. Adding, you know, this this heat shrink on there is really really does the entire job of, you know, of protecting these wires and your installation. And I didn't do this for the I would have recorded it for you guys doing the battery installation, but I couldn't really get my camera in there for you guys because the wires are just a little bit too short, and I wanted you guys to have a full view of how this installation goes, and the only way possible was to do it on the inside install. Alright guys, so this is a battery installation part. We already got the wires thrown over on the other side when we went underneath the truck. Remove this battery box, the tray out of the way, and we have our wires here. You're going to want to make sure that you differentiate between the positive and the negative, and you could see some signs on the battery where it has the negative sign and the positive sign, but you also might be able to tell because your wires are going to be there's going to be red and black. Just really want to make sure the black wire is the one that's attached to the frame, as you can see back there, that wire that's coated in red. All right. Anyways, we have our two wires right here. We're going to start off with the negative first. And the negative is right here. and I already coated some of that with some de-electrical grease. All right, and you want to get some grease on there. And then we're going to take off this so that's the black one. And I already heat shrink these terminals. Don't be afraid to get some de-electrical grease and put it around this terminal. And then the next thing is some thread locker. The thread locker, we're gonna put just a little bit on this battery terminal.
What's that one for?
Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is just gonna prevent this nut from backing out for all the vibrations on the truck. I wanted to tell you guys I already, for the purpose of this video, I already heat shrink and did the application for both of these terminals, and you can see I already applied the heat shrink and the caulk to the inside of the heat shrink. So this connection right here is completely waterproof, completely rust proof. Nothing's ever gonna happen to this cable, okay? And then don't forget, get some de-electrical grease and apply it all nice even coating around to your terminal. This is nickel plated, so it probably won't really ever rust, but this is just a good preventative measure. All right, now we're gonna install our terminal, we're gonna install our fuse block. All right, this has a 300 amp max rating, and we're only gonna put 150 amp because our inverter is 1500 watts. All right, and I already have put some thread locker on there, as you can see. Excuse me if I'm blocking this video. Alright, fuse box is installed. Now we're gonna put our red wire on top of the stud on our fuse. Make sure it's nice and seated all the way down. Throw our washer on there and put this nut on here. And I did coat the fuse with the electrical grease as well. Alrighty. Now we have both of our wires, negative and positive, completely secured and rust proof. Alright. Make sure you do the correct way and use the electrical grease and install the heat shrink with the RTV so that this will not rust. All right, you have to do this or else your wires are going to rust. One of the last wires we are connecting is the ground wire just for the inverter to the body of the truck. The plate that we had screwed on there, the plate that we had screwed on there, you can come over here, we have our test light, it's connected to the red, so right now it will light up whenever it get a good ground connection. So, as you can see, this wire, as soon as I touch it, not the wire, but the plate, as soon as I touch it, it lights up. So we got some good ground connection there. So, this little wire that I don't know if you can see, but there is one small right there in that little stud.
It's an accessory wire.
It's pretty much a really tiny wire, a tiny stud. This one right here, and you can see that little sign right there is ground. So this is a little ground wire that we run. So I ran a little 10 gauge wire or 10 or 12 gauge wire to that plate. I'm just running this wire right with this black wire. You want to come zoom in? Okay. You see that wire is right with this black wire. All I'm going to do is pass it through the hole. And connect that wire to one of these bolts right here. Well, come on this side. Connect it to this wire right here. Okay. You can see that these are self-tapping screws, and I just use that to secure this onto there. I did pre-drill the holes, however, to just make it easier for myself. So I am going to connect this wire right now. There we go. And I'm gonna put that right back where she went. Alright. And we got connection. Okay?
So we're just doing the last end of this. These are crimp-ons. Make sure that wire's fully seated in before we crimp it.
That one. And then now we get to turn this sucker on. So the power button's on this side. Presto, we got right now 14.1, so we are ready to rock and roll, baby. That concludes this video. Alrighty guys, Inverter works. It's about time. Life is good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more do-yourself videos or any trucking related videos.